Indeed, Tumelo, it's quite tense inside the commission room there. The two legal teams seemingly are not finding each other. In fact, the one side is just as determined that the rules of the commission are not going to be bent in order to accommodate the former president, whether the questions are too detailed or too difficult or they go too far back. The words of Paul Pretorius are that so be it. The other side is very clear that they do not wish to participate any longer in this commission. Moses Kakane essentially repeating what he said as we adjourned abruptly on Wednesday, you'll recall. But Tumelo, allow me to introduce into this conversation now one of the sons of the former president, Edward Zuma, coming all the way from KwaZulu-Natal. Mr. Zuma, thank you very much for giving us your time. How are you seeing things inside there? How are you assessing your father coming here to testify since Monday? What's your assessment been?
Thank you, Paul. First and foremost, I think we need to acknowledge and appreciate the fact that former President Zuma respects the commission, and in respecting the commission, presented himself here as requested. He respects the process and respects the rules. However, as you've just mentioned, they are engaging each other and hopefully they will find each other. But overall, we are here to show that we respect the commission, and in support of the former president, we are accompanying him as a family.
There has been unhappiness on the side of the former president. Very clear that the rules are not being followed and that he is under cross-examination. You've heard there today the commission's evidence leader saying that cross-examination has actually yet to happen. And it would seem that the former president is avoiding answering direct questions. Do you agree with that assessment?
No, I wouldn't agree, and I would not dwell much on what is occurring in the commission. I think the legal representatives will be capable enough to deal with such issues. Whatever concerns have been raised, they are going to be dealing with them, and confidently so we will come back and have a proper decision.
I think that's fine. Let's confine this conversation then to how the family is seeing this. The former president saying on Monday that this has been a conspiracy to try and tarnish his name dating back to the early 90s, and that he's always been painted as this person who's corrupt. Do you share? And I would want to think that you share in your father's assessment of things about how he says he is being treated. But the counter to that, Mr. Zuma, is that some are saying this is him trying to deliberately divert the attention of this commission, what he is meant to be here for, which is to answer to allegations that he has been engaged in corruption with those who've looted the state.
Well, the commission is a yesterday thing, and one to show that former President Zuma respects the constitution of this republic. He's the one who formed this commission. So why would he...
But he's never believed in it. He says, where is that kept?
We live in a democratic South Africa. You know, you might not agree to a particular concept, but when the majority takes a decision, you need to respect that. You know, you can have your personal view as a person, but the majority will prevail. And he has shown that he respects the constitution, hence he formed this commission. So why would he all of a sudden want to avoid it? That's one. Two, the issue of the conspiracy. I think it's something that goes way beyond, beyond 1990. He just gave us a piece from 1990. It's way before 1990. There is a conspiracy. It's still there. It's not going to finish until, like he said, they want him out of the picture. And
who wants him out of the picture?
But he's going to say that in the commission. You should afford him that particular opportunity. He's still going to talk. He did mention that for now I will stop here. I will still come back.
All right, we're listening, of course, to a conversation between Olim Ngami and Edward Zuma. That is, of course, the son of Jacob Zuma. Unfortunately, our audio had just failed us there for a moment, but let's try and listen again, if possible, to Xoli's conversation with former President Jacob Zuma's son.
Mr. Zuma, there is a view that the former president, your father, is obsessed with the intelligence world. There is that view that he's become too obsessed with this, and that, in fact, it's always been his fallback position whenever he is under the spotlight, that he uses your so-called intelligence reports. You'll remember back in 2017 March when he accused Pravin Gordhan through an intelligence report that he was conspiring with the West to try and bring this economy down. Is your father someone who has become too obsessed with the intelligence world?
I wouldn't say it's obsession, but I would say...
Or is it something, or is it a tactic that he uses to avoid...
No, it's definitely not
questions that linked to him directly about whether or not...
It's not a tactic. What he's basically saying, he's reporting on what reports he gets. And if people want to prove it, then they must engage with him.
Talk to us about the allegations of a murder plot. I mean, he spoke at length on Monday about attempts on his life. Perhaps let's start with the poisoning plot. I think that happened in August of 2010. Where did that plot emanate? Because one of the former First Ladies, Manduli, was actually kicked out of the country. Where did that emanate from, and where are things now?
So we need to be careful. I'm not going to comment anything on that one, on the issue of poisoning and so forth. I can only comment on the death threat that we've just received as a family. We take it very seriously. It's very worrying and concerning. But
are you at liberty to tell us where it came from, this latest threat?
I think the law enforcement agencies will be appropriate people to tell you all those details. But from where I'm sitting as a person, as Edward Zuma, we will be waiting for them, whoever made that plot. We are ready for them.
Yeah. Let me ask you to just lower the microphone a bit. Has the former president reported this alleged threat on his life to law enforcement?
I think as is they are dealing with it. I wouldn't know whether it has been reported or not.
Yeah. The former president also going to some detail on Monday about how difficult it is for you as his children to find work in South Africa or to even establish yourselves as business people. How difficult is it? Take us into your confidence.
I think, as he clearly puts it, it's very difficult. You are victimized just for being a Zuma, in business, and work-wise. The sin is being a Zuma, If there are particular surnames, they warm up to them. But when you are a Zuma, you have a difficulty.
I want you to take me into your particular experiences. What kind of victimization has come your way?
I've been victimized for years by SARS. When the famous Pravin Gordhan was at the helm. I've been victimized over many years.
What actually happened?
No, I'm not in liberty to tell you that, because some of these matters are still in the hands of the law enforcement.
Yeah. But as you sit here today, you are telling the South African public that all your business ventures, they have been above board and you are a tax-compliant citizen of this country.
Indeed.
There is an allegation, of course, that has come forth over time that your business dealings with Torsion Panda were not above board, and there are certain people that were victimized. Talk to us about that business partnership. What kind of a business were you involved in, Torsion Panda?
No, I think, thank you for this opportunity. I think people must not be misled. I've never been in business with Torsion Panda. There's no business I'm intending to do with him anytime soon. Torsion Panda is a friend of mine, and he remains a friend of mine. So all these allegations are false, and I've always challenged those people who make these allegations to go to a police station and report a crime. You know, there's this character called General Johan Boysens. He came to the commission, mentioned my name. The challenge I'm putting to him was, I've always put that, why don't you go to a police station and report as a crime? He's been saying, no, he's got recordings. If he has recordings, he must go to a police station and open a case. Then I get arrested. He's not done that, clearly, because he's lying.
Would you be able to explain to the public of South Africa what kind of friendship then this Torsion Panda that you say is your friend, what kind of friendship this was? Was it a friendship that was also had, you know, money being given to you as a friend? I don't know. You might want to explain it to me. I'm simply trying to get beneath the detail of when you say Torsion Panda has never been your business partner, because I think the assumption was always that he's your business partner. But today you're saying, no, he's your friend. People would want to know what kind of friendship was this, given that it would appear that money must have exchanged hands at some point.
Look, clearly, he's a friend of mine, just like any other friends of mine. I have many friends, you know. I regard you as my friend as well, so we don't exchange money. So he's that kind of a friend. We've never exchanged any monies.
And that's where you want to leave it at.
Exactly.
What about the allegations leveled against your younger brother, Duduzane, and his dealings with the Gupta family? Where does the family stand in as far as that is concerned? Is he being accused unfairly? What's your assessment of that relationship?
The question I would ask you, what is my brother being accused of? Is he being accused of being in partnership in business with the Guptas? Is that a crime? If that is a crime, would you ask the very same question to other people who are in business with the Ruperts?
The allegation is that the Guptas may have, and I use the word may have, advisedly, the Guptas may have decided that they were going to bring you as children of the former president closer in order for them to get their hands in state coffers. Would you describe it as that? Would you agree with that kind of a description of this business relationship, that they merely brought you closer to them in order for them to make sure that money that comes from a government goes their way? For example, the government advertising into their media empire. That's just one example of many.
Look, I think the former president did clarify this thing. Guptas are business people like any other people, and as a former president, he meets many people, including the Guptas. He meets many other business people who want opportunities within the government sector, and there is no crime for them in engaging with government officials in requesting that. So I don't see anything wrong with what they were doing. One. Two, I think again the former president was very clear. They had no influence on him whatsoever, you know. So I really don't know what the fuss is about. One. Two, he also clarified to the nation that he was introduced to the Guptas by who? He made it clear. So I do not know why that person who introduced the Guptas to Zuma is not being questioned as to why did you introduce the Guptas to Zuma. You must go and ask Mbeki and Esopahat.
A friendship is one thing, Mr. Zuma. A friendship is one thing in the sense that if the former president says he was introduced to the Guptas by the Mbegis, and at some point he even mentioned that they were introduced to him by some comrades, he says, here in Gauteng. The difference here is how the Guptas, the dealings that he has had with the Guptas was then defined perhaps after those introductions, as I'm detailing to you.
Oli, that's wrong. Former President Zuma made it clear he has never had any dealings whatsoever with the Guptas. He has had no dealings with the Guptas whatsoever. So what you are saying to me, it's something that people who want to find something wrong with Zuma would say. He's made it clear he had no dealings with the Gupta. They've had no influence whatsoever in whatever decision he took. The only thing he made clear was to give them an idea, which idea they then pushed forward. That's not a crime. He is the president of a country at the time, and if you go to the president, he gives you advice, you take it. So it's exactly what they did. Right now we have President Ramaphosa. If I go to President Ramaphosa, he gives me an idea and then I expedite it. Is that a crime? It's not a crime. So there's nothing wrong.
As we wrap our conversation, Mr. Zuma, you are a member of the ANC. I know that for a fact. In KwaZulu-Natal, you belong to a branch there. The kinds of allegations that have been made, or the claims that have been made by the former president, your father, against fellow comrades in the party, that they were spies and that they had dealings with the apartheid regime in order to infiltrate the organization. The outcry has been that the former president, why would he employ such people in his cabinet? Why would he put such people in his cabinet? What's as a member of the party now, what is your sense about what this is going to do to the organization that your father so claims he dearly loves, and yourself as a member, an ordinary member?
One, let me assist you at all. One, my father, the former President Zuma, it's not a claim that he loves the ANC. He does love the ANC. It's a fact. So I think we need to clear that one. So there's no claim. It's a fact. One. Two, the issue of comrades that were spies, as he stated on Monday when he testified at the commission, I think the Secretary General of the ANC addressed it very well, that they would have to have a discussion and then we'll take things from there. So I'm not going to be in a position to engage on that. As an ANC member, I would want to respect the processes that the SG of the ANC has said will unfold.
Edward Zuma, hopefully you'll give us yet more time next time when we so happily want to engage with you. But thank you very much for giving us your time.
Thank you.
Edward Zuma is the son of the former President Jacob Zuma.